Alright, so welcome back everyone. As you can see, we got a bunch of bunnies running around and we can't really do anything about the situation. And we're gonna make it so we can start hunting them down. And the first thing we're gonna do is to make sure that these bunnies have health, which they do. They have health of 20 here. But you can't really see this attribute bar because it's not set to be shown to the other players. So I'm going to change it so the other players can see the attribute bar. So I'm going to go ahead and save and do that and republish. Great. So now you can see the attribute bar for these bunnies. Now, if I attack them, you can see that I can actually do the damage on these bunnies, and the reason for that is because if you actually let me open the punch item. If you look at this item and if you go under the weapon tab, you can see that this weapon affects everything, and the damage it does is 10 health per hit. That's how it's currently set. So this is why the punch item is currently doing the damage for these bunnies. Now, despite their HPs going 0, it's not really doing anything to the bunnies. So what we're gonna do here is to destroy these bunnies upon their health attributes hitting 0. So I'll open their scripts and I'm going to add a new script and we'll call it death. And this script will get triggered when the entity's attribute becomes 0 or less. And this attribute is going to be health. So we have to add an if statement that checks what kind of attribute this is. So if the attribute type of the triggering attribute for this script is health, right? So let's just read this over again. So this script gets triggered when an attribute of this entities becomes 0. And we check if that attribute is health. And if that's the case, we're gonna destroy this entity. So let's scroll down to find, yes, this entity. So we're gonna destroy this entity if the health becomes 0. We're gonna go ahead and save it. And let's republish the game. All right, let's start slaughtering these bunnies. And there we go. Now you can see if their health becomes 0, they are getting destroyed. Now, instead of them just disappearing after their health becomes 0, let's have them leave something behind. So for example, why don't we make it so there's blood behind the dead bunny? So let's go to bunny and we're gonna go to effects, and up on the entity getting destroyed, we're gonna create a projectile. Now, there's no projectile in game yet, so let's go ahead and create a projectile first. So under projectiles, we're gonna add an entity. We'll choose a stationary effect, and there is a blood puddle. We'll call it blood, and and the projectile is gonna have a lifespan of 1 second. Let's make it so it has 5-second lifespan, meaning that the projectile will destroy itself after 5 seconds. Everything else looks okay, so we'll save it. We're gonna go back to the bunny and go to effects, and upon destroying the bunny, we're gonna leave a blood puddle at the position of the entity. All right, we'll refresh. All right, now if I attack the bunnies, oh, come back here. Okay, and you can now see that blood is appearing. Now, one thing strange about this is that the blood is rendering on top of my unit. That means it's got the higher Z index than my unit. So let's take a look at the Z index differences. So if you look at my unit, homie, and look at its body, you can see that its Z index is at walls layer on depth 3. Now, the lower it is, the lower the Z index, and that means that the ones with the lower value will be rendered underneath the ones that has the higher value. So again, my unit has walls 3 as Z index. Now if you open the blood and look at its Z index, you can actually see that it's set at walls with depth at 10. So this is why it's rendering on top of my unit. I'm gonna go ahead and change it to walls, or actually even go to floor 2 and depth 1 and save it. All right, and I'm gonna close that, go back to play tab, and gonna start killing bunnies again. And now you can see that it is being rendered underneath my unit. All right, now you know how to make it so we can hunt bunnies in the game. In our next video, we'll show you how we can create a ranged weapon. Thanks for watching.